Chris Mannix from Sports Illustrated, SI.com, one of their senior writers covering the NBA, and I'm sure he's had a busy morning, busy evening as well as we try to sort through winners and losers here. Give me the team that didn't do something that surprised you, Chris.
That didn't do something. I mean, Boston tried hard to do more. They just didn't have the assets at this time, and the teams that they were talking to didn't want their picks. So that maybe stands out. But, like, every team in the league that needed to make a move, Dan, they kind of did. And the teams that didn't, teams like, Golden State, Chicago, Memphis, these teams are all kind of set or made trades prior to the deadline. So when you factor in everything, go back to December when Rajon Rondo got dealt, every team in the league that wanted to make a trade, it seems like it did.
The Goran Dragic deal, I know that he backed Phoenix into a corner, and there's only a couple places he was willing to go, but how did Miami pull this off, and who was their nearest competitor?
Well, that's exactly why they were able to pull it off, because Dragic had a list of teams, and it was only 3 or 4. I know the Knicks and the Lakers were also on that list, and if you weren't going to get any type of assurances from him that he'd re-sign there, teams like Boston or Houston simply couldn't make any type of tangible offer to get him to come there. So he had Phoenix in a very precarious situation, not only with the trade demand, but also with his pouring kind of gasoline on the fire by saying he didn't trust the organization. I don't think Phoenix could have gone past the trade deadline with him there. So if Miami's competitors were few and far between, you got to give Pat Riley a ton of credit for stepping in there, making this type of offer, and getting themselves a lead guard. And people that don't see enough of Dragic, this guy was third-team All-NBA last year. He was fifth last year on my overall MVP ballot. This guy can flat-out play in this league. So they're getting a guy that is in the prime of his career and not only will help this year, but is going to re-sign there for the next 5 years.
Yeah, he's only 28. I loved him in Houston, and I thought that he was almost a more athletic Ginobili when I saw him. But, he wants to play.
Well, what he wants, Dan, and people are, I think, somewhat confused about what he wants. Does he want to play for a winner? Does he want to play in a good market? What he wanted all along was to be a lead guard. He just hated the situation in Phoenix where he's sharing the ball with Eric Bledsoe, sharing the ball now, or then rather with Isaiah Thomas. That's why Houston didn't really appeal to him, because they had James Harden and the offense flowed through Harden. Boston, somewhat similarly, that they had Marcus Smart and he was kind of being billed as the future of the franchise. Miami has some talent, and certainly Dwayne Wade has the ball in his hands offensively a significant amount of time, but they will give him the ball as the lead playmaker and allow him to run the offense through him. So this is a great situation, not only for him at a team level, because he's going someplace that badly needs him, but individually he's going to get a chance to shine.
We're talking to Chris Mannix of Sports Illustrated, their senior NBA basketball writer. Also, when you start to look at the Heat, if I said Heat versus Hawks right now, first round, who you got?
I mean, you got to factor in. I don't know if you've seen the news today with Chris Bosh.
Exactly.
It's sounding like he might have to miss the rest of the season. The blood clots in his lungs are what's being reported at the moment. No confirmation yet from Miami. So if he's done, Miami could wind up missing the playoffs altogether. But hypothetically, all healthy, Miami's got a great chance. Their starting 5 would have to play 35-plus minutes every single game because their bench is incredibly weak. And people continue to discount Atlanta, because of the lack of star power. But with Whiteside, Dragic, Dang, Wade, and Bosh, I mean, that is as good a starting 5 as you'll find in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, we hope the best for Chris Bosh when I heard the news there, but I didn't know if there was anything definitive. I looked at the Thunder, and I love what the Thunder did, because you still have your star players. They got some beef inside. They got rid of some people who didn't want to be there. And if I said Golden State, Oklahoma City first round, who you got?
I don't know, honestly. I mean, it's a toss-up to me. Because Oklahoma City can win on the road, and what they did, like you mentioned, it's significant. And this is why Sam Presti is one of the best GMs in basketball. He had a deal on the table half an hour before the trade deadline to flip Reggie Jackson for Brook Lopez, and everyone thought that was the deal that was going to get done. I can tell you Brooklyn certainly thought that was the deal that was going to get done, but Presti was never all that enamored with this deal. I was talking to people in Oklahoma City late last night, and the biggest issue they had with the Lopez deal wasn't Lopez's money or his injury history, but it was the fact that just swapping one for one like that would have left them really thin at other positions. Now, by flipping Jackson, they not only get Enes Kanter, who is a very, very good offensive center, who's going to give them a post presence off the bench, but the other assets, the ancillary assets they got, fortify the bench as well. They get Kyle Singler, who was a starter in Detroit. He's going to fit in well behind Kevin Durant. DJ Augustine, a former teammate of Durant's back at Texas. He's proven in the last 2 years that he's a very capable backup point guard. Mm-hmm. Now they go 4 or 5 deep at almost every position and give themselves the type of depth, not only this year, but all these guys they have are kind of under their control for the next 2 or 3 years. And they position themselves to be a really, really strong team if they can re-sign Durant for the next 5, 6, maybe 7 years, because all these guys are roughly the same age. So this was, Miami, they're the big winner at the deadline because of what they got and what they had to give up. But Oklahoma City is nipping at their heels. This was a tremendous deal for the Thunder.
I mentioned that Michael Carter-Williams was probably expendable because he can't shoot. He's not a good defender. But here's a Rookie of the Year who you can make the comparison with Jason Kidd. And now he goes and he's going to play for Jason Kidd. What exactly are the 76ers doing?
Losing, trying badly to lose, trying to accrue enough draft picks. You want to see must-see TV, Dan? I got 2 games in March for you to watch. Sixers and Lakers. The Sixers get the Lakers pick if it falls outside of the top 5. Let's see. The Sixers might suit up Sam Hinkie in that game to try to to drop that one and get that 6th overall pick in this game. Look, that's just what they're doing at this point. They want these draft picks. They obviously didn't believe all the way in Michael Carter-Williams.
Yes.
This goes back to last summer when he was made available in trade. They just couldn't get the right draft pick in exchange for him. So Carter-Williams, this is nothing new that he was on the trade block, but they never really believed in Philadelphia that he was necessarily the answer at the point guard spot. I fall in the camp that thinks that Michael Carter-Williams can be a very good player. I think he's an underrated defender. He was much better than I thought he was going to be when he came out of Syracuse playing out in that zone. He's got great speed. He can play in the pick and roll. He's not a good shooter, as I'm sure you've mentioned before, but this is a guy that I think can develop into one over the next couple of years. So I think under Jason Kidd and playing in that lineup with Giannis Antetokounmpo, this is one of those bizarre matchup nightmare type of teams for the next couple of years if they can figure out Michael Carter-Williams out.
Do that pronunciation again, and how many times did you practice it?
It took me 2 years and 2 profiles of this kid to figure out how to pronounce him. I was calling him the Greek Freak forever, but I think about a month and a half ago, I figured I'd say Antetokounmpo.
I love the nickname. And by the way, can we come up with a nickname for Westbrook? I like the Razor.
I'm thinking like the Razor's good, but what's something that is like a locomotive? I mean, the guy is just he's a one-man wrecking ball out there on the floor. It's got to be something to do with velocity or power.
Well, Tasmanian Devil, or you can call him the Locomotive.
Yeah, locomotive could work. I could see that.
But then people are going to call him Loco, and then then it's got to be careful with that.
Yeah, he might not go for that.
No, I'm thinking. But here's I call him the Razor because he's going to slice and dice you, but also he doesn't shave. So I love that he plays that way, but he doesn't shave.
Yeah, I heard him say that on the show yesterday. The other day. I didn't know that. I've done a couple of stories on him in the past. I didn't know that he was so baby-faced he didn't need to shave.
You should listen to this show more often. I could teach you a couple of things.
I listen to the show regularly.
All right. Well, thank you. 2 best teams right now in the NBA are?
The 2 best teams?
Yeah.
Well, it still starts with the Warriors. I love Klay Thompson's comment yesterday. Somebody asked him, they surprised they didn't do anything to the trade deadline. He looks at the guy and says, "Dude, we've got 9 losses." So they're still the best team out there. And as long as Bogut stays on the floor, they're fine. Atlanta. I hate to just pick the top teams, but Atlanta's done it all season long, and I'm not worried at all about their lack of star power. But at this point, Dan, I know they lost last night, and I was watching that game, but you still can't bet against San Antonio.
I know.
All they want is to just be healthy at the end of the season. They've been dealing with injuries to Kawhi Leonard and others throughout the course of the year. But if they're healthy at the end of the year, it's not going to matter if they're the 7 seed or the 2 seed. If they're still capable of coming out of the Western Conference, that's a team that should scare everybody.
Thank you, Chris.
You love the KG deal, don't you, though?
Well, it's kind of nice that he's going back there, and anything to help Rubio shoot better, I'm all for that.
But you know what, Dan? That team I mean, however long KG plays, and I can tell you the entire league sort of stood up and took notice when it was revealed that KG might play beyond this season. But that team is going to benefit so much from this guy being out there. This is the best practice player maybe in NBA history, a guy that has had a palpable impact this year on Mason Plumlee. It's obviously influenced guys like Kendrick Perkins over the last couple of years. He's going to go into this team and be like a player coach for them. Guys like Wiggins and Anthony Bennett and Rubio and Nikolai Pekovic, they are going to benefit so greatly from having this guy around. I thought that was a terrific deal for Flip Saunders to get this guy to be a mentor for his kids for the next couple of years.
Yeah, all they need is a point guard, and they're going to be ready to go.
You know, I don't even go there, Dan, and you have to keep picking at that scab. I mean, this guy is an elite playmaker who will rise to the occasion at some point in the next 5 years.
But you know what? They got him before they were tempted to take Steph Curry, and I thought that was a great move. Instead of taking Steph Curry, they jumped right in with Ricky Rubio, and I understood it.
You know, I'm turning the show off now.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, Dan.
It's Chris Mannix, SI.com.